Hello everyone. So today we will talk about the ADO.NET. ADO.NET is the .NET API which helps .NET application to connect with the database. No matter it is a web application or a Windows application or a console application or a web service or it's a class library. We can use this API to connect to the database. So to demonstrate this, I have taken one um, table, which is student table, which has ID, first name and last name. And this is under my test DB. And I have created this test DB database under the under one SQL Express instance of the database. So let us retrieve the data of this table from the front-end applications. Okay, so this is my application. So first of all, this ADO.NET is providing connectivity with the database in the two ways. Connectivity is a single way, but when we connect to a database and when we retrieve the data, so retrieval of the data is in two ways. One is connected and one is disconnected. So ADO.NET provide connected and disconnected way to retrieve the data. Okay. Now, what are the steps we need to follow to connect to the database and retrieve the data? Retrieve the data or update the data. So first way, we need to create a connection. In ADO.NET, we use DB connection class as a base class to connect to a database. The database could be any database, like it could be SQL database, Oracle database, or the other databases like Sybase DB2. So we can connect to the database. For connecting with the SQL database, there is a special system dot data DLL is that assembly we use for that. And this DB connection class is also have the implementation of IDB connection. So that is the interface. So this first once we do the connectivity with the database connection, then next we need to execute the command. For that, we need the command object. So command object helps us to connect with the to execute or to set up the queries like select query, insert query, update queries. Next we will have the adapter. Adapter object, most of the time when we need to fill the data into the data set, and in that cases we use the adapter object. There is also a data reader to read the data from the database. Data set is also the way we can connect and retrieve the data. So the data is stored into a data set. But this, once we store the data into the database, no matter we are connected to the database or not, so data set will have the data from the database. So we mostly use it into the disconnected mode. Okay, so now let us see how to achieve this. As I am having the data store into a student table and my student table into a testDB database, and my testDB database is a SQL database. So first of all, we need to include the namespace system.data.sql client. This namespace provides some set of classes which we can use to connect to a database and retrieve the data. Let us see in an action. So first of all, we need to create the connection. So SQL connection is the class which is used to create a connection between application and the database. So I'm creating an object equals to new SQL connection. So this SQL connection, if we go to the definition of this, then you can see that it is getting inherited from the DB connection. So DB connection is the base class for any kind of connections. For Oracle, we use the Oracle client, and for SQL, we are using SQL client namespace. So here, first I need to create a connection. Second, I need to give a connection string. Connection string indicates that to which database, which server you want to connect. So here, my database name is testDB, but my server name, let me get this. Let me copy this and go back to here. So this is my data source. This would be the server name. That could be an IP. Data source equals to SQL Express semicolon and then the database name. So database name is initial catalog equals to testDB. As I am using the Windows authentication, I'm not using SQL authentication, SQL Server authentication. So I will say integrated security equals to true. So it is giving an error here because there is a slash symbol, so I will put. So my connection string is ready. Next, what I need to do, I just need to open this connection string. So it says cn dot open. So this opens the connectivity between application and database. So if there is any problem, there could be a problem like problem to connect to the database. That could be because of the network issue. That could be because of the wrong connection string. So this statement will not execute and it will throw an error. So that exception can be relevant. We can catch that exception with the try catch block. But I'm considering that this is a correct connection string at this moment. So I'm not doing any exception handling on this. So once the connection is open, then next is we need to create a command object. So SQL command object equals to new SQL command object. And same way, if we go to the definition of the command object, so we can see it is getting inherited from the DB command, which is responsible for creating any kind of command object. Okay. Now this command object, we can pass the command text property, where I'm saying select asterisk from student. Now this command object is to execute on the basis of this connection. So I need to provide the connection, and that connection should be open when we execute the query. So I'm saying command connection equals to cn. Now next is, first I'm going with the connected system, connected mode of the ADO.NET. So where I need to create the SQL data reader. And here command object has a method which is called execute reader. This method helps to execute the select command of the command object. So that here what I'm doing, I'm executing command object and storing the data I'm sorry, and storing the data in data reader. So for design purpose I have a grid view, and I just take a simple grid view where it has a ID property grd view and run at server. So I want to populate this grid view with this data. So I'm saying grd view dot data source equals to dir and grd view dot data bind. So let me run this application. I'm running in the Internet Explorer. So here you can see the output. The result is in the data grid. Okay, so let me close this. So this is about the select command. Now let us insert a record into the database. So what I'm going to do here, I'm using this command object, and instead of this command I'm saying cmd dot command text equals to insert into student and values, and there I want to insert a new name, say Mark, and last name is Walk. So these two records I want to insert. And now here, because we are executing the command which is not related to data reader, so data reader is the class which basically reads the data and stores the data into it. But whenever we read the data from the data reader, what it does, it hit to the database and retrieve the data. So that is why data reader is used for the connected system. But now my requirement is different. I want to insert a record into the student table. So I don't need the data reader here. And even actually I will show you in the database directly that whether the record is inserted or not. So our output will be nothing, or we can write something response.write. So here what I'm going to do, I'm saying cmd dot execute non-query. So execute non-query is used whenever we are using any insert, delete, or update type of statements. So let me run it. So as I said, there will not be any output for this. So let me minimize it and let me go to my database. So if I execute this again, so you can see mark walk is the fifth record is inserted. So let's go back to code again, and I want to update the record. So what I'm saying, update student set f name equals to Steve, where f name equals to I think there are two records with the name mark. Yes, so these two should be updated. Okay, and we need to use the execute known query for this. And let me put a response dot right here. Let's run it. So here is the output, record is updated. So let us see in the SQL. Let me execute this. So you can see that mark record is updated with the Steve record. Same way, if we want to delete, we can delete the record. So if I say delete from student where ID equals to 5. So it will delete the record. So I'll say record is deleted, and same execute known query is used. Let me run it. So you can see that record is deleted. Let's go to the SQL, and here we can see record number 5 is deleted. So this way we can perform the ADO.NET activity for insertion, deletion, updation, and select command. Thanks for watching. Please do not forget to subscribe.